Right now on Jamaica News Page tonight, we're following a developing story out of Clarendon.
I woke by a sad news this morning about alleged rape and killing of a lady who goes by the name Miss Hyacinth Johnson.
An elderly woman is found dead behind her Clarendon home.
Yes, it is really shocking. Everybody, it was just everybody crying. Everybody was crying from morning. They cry for June and they cry because never heard anything like this, and cry because it's June, because nobody could believe that somebody would do that to June.
Tonight, the disturbing discovery after she failed to show up for a prayer meeting at church. We're tracking the latest developments. Also developing tonight, a man accused of physically assaulting and robbing a woman he allegedly met through a popular dating app is now facing multiple charges. What investigators say allegedly happened after the pair arranged to meet. And the Jamaica News Page investigates. Before you build on family land or property you don't own, what are your legal rights? Tonight, we hear from attorney Josemar Belnavis about who really owns the house and who could be entitled to compensation if the land is acquired. Plus, there's good news tonight. A graduation fit for a champion. The nation's top PEP student gets a police escort, a red carpet welcome, and a celebration she'll likely never forget. Welcome back to Jamaica News Page tonight. News that keeps you connected to what's happening across Jamaica, and we're powered by viewers just like you. Please click subscribe and tap the notification bell to stay connected. Thank you for joining us, Debbie Scott. Jamaica News Page tonight starts right now. We begin tonight in Clarendon, where police are investigating the killing of a 64-year-old woman whose partially nude body was discovered behind her home in the Union District near Frankfield. The victim has been identified as Hyacinth Rose Johnson. According to investigators, residents discovered Johnson's body shortly after 7 o'clock Wednesday morning and alerted the police. When officers arrived, they reportedly found her lying face down behind the house with stab wounds to the chest.
It is really shocking. Everybody, it was just everybody crying. Everybody was crying from morning. They cry for June and they cry because never heard anything like this, and cry because it's June, because nobody could believe that somebody would do that to June.
Jamaica News Page understands that Johnson was last seen attending church on Sunday. However, concern grew after she failed to attend her regular prayer meeting on Tuesday, prompting residents to check on her. They later made the grim discovery.
June is taking my advice because she had a major operation the other day, and the journey that she has to travel to reach church, and the road is not good. I said to her, look here, God will give you head to wear hat only. He give you head to think. So I'm not saying you mustn't come to church, but wait a little. Don't do it so often. Wait a little until you heal up a little better. She's one of those members who don't absent from church. Every time the door open, June is there. Every time we are going out to visit other churches, June is the first to be there when nobody else is present. This is saying to us, look here, we ought to be closer to each other and look out for one another and keep our eyes open, because something like this happen and we can't say right now, we can't say we have an idea that maybe it's Harry or Tom, because everybody, I don't see anybody that I could say wonder if. So this is saying to us, we have to be more focus.
My name is Councillor Steve Williams, Councillor for the Riches Division, Northwest Clarendon. I was awoken by a sad news this morning about an alleged rape and killing of a lady who goes by the name Miss Hyacinth Johnson. I condemn these form of act within the quiet community of Union. I'm appealing to the residents with any form of information to forward it to the police, because acts like these must, and I really repeat, must brought to justice. And I'm saying we cannot have things like these taking place in our country. It can affect any one of us. It can be on any one of us doorstep. So let us join hand and heart and brought the perpetrator to justice.
Councillor Williams says violence of this nature can affect any community and calls on residents to help bring those responsible to justice. Anyone with information is being asked to contact the Mapen Criminal Investigations Branch 876-832-2077, the police emergency number 119, or the nearest police station. Also developing tonight, detectives in St. Catherine have charged a 33-year-old St. Mary man following the alleged physical assault and robbery of a woman he reportedly met through the dating app Tinder. The accused, Demoy Pennington, a bar operator, has been charged with forcible abduction, among other assault and robbery charges. Police say the two began communicating online in April 2026 before arranging to meet on June 25, 2026 along Hagley Park Road in St. Andrew. Investigators allege that after the 43-year-old woman entered Pennington's vehicle, she was driven to Portmore, St. Catherine, where she was threatened with a handgun after questioning his intentions. Investigators further allege she was taken to a motel along Port Henderson Road, commonly known as Back Road, where she was physically assaulted. Investigators say the woman was later driven back to the corporate area where Pennington allegedly stole her handbag containing bank cards and a cell phone before fleeing. The incident was reported to the police, triggering an investigation that led to Pennington's arrest. He was later placed on an identification parade, positively identified by the complainant, and subsequently charged. The matter is now before the court. Meanwhile, a new mobile application is being developed to help victims of domestic violence discreetly seek emergency assistance.
We're developing a mobile app, Madam Speaker, to enable people in domestic violence situations to call for help. The app will integrate the National 24-Hour Domestic Violence Hotline and will provide a discreet, secure, and accessible platform to respond to and support those who need help and prevent gender-based violence. The app will enable us to offer the next level services as part of our continuum of care for survivors of gender-based violence. And the app is coming, but the hotline is open. So I encourage anyone who needs assistance to call 876-553-0372, and we will help you.
And now to a Jamaica News Page investigation. Building a home is often one of the biggest investments you'll ever make. But what happens if you build that home on land you don't legally own? Could the government acquire the property? And if it does, what rights do you have? For many Jamaicans, the journey to homeownership begins with land provided by a relative or friend. In many cases, a home is built based on nothing more than a verbal agreement or an understanding between the two parties. Attorney at law Josemar Belnaves says if you're given permission to build on someone else's property, you may have certain legal protections under a principle known as proprietary estoppel.
You can build on my property and I will allow you to live there. Then that person actually receives something called a proprietary estoppel, which in layman terms means that the person cannot go back on the promise. So the person can't wait until you have constructed the property after having given you permission and then ask you to leave without some form of compensation, because you, of course, would not be able to take the house with you.
Some of you might be wondering if the government can acquire or remove your house built on land you don't own. The attorney says in cases where the government acquires a land through compulsory acquisition, you're entitled to compensation even if you don't own the land.
There is no real distinction in law between the land and the house that is built on it. So if we operate from that premise, the first primary response would be that the government would be interested in compensating the title holder, because Jamaica operates on what we call a registered title system. And if we operate on that system, it means that the government has a duty to treat with the persons whose name is on the title.
However, he warns,
if you build on property that you do not own, you are at risk of being removed as a trespasser under the law. However, if 12 years elapses from the moment you would have taken possession of the property, you would have treated the land as your own for more than 12 years or more, and you have the necessary intention to treat it as your own singly and exclusively, removing others from the property, fencing it, carrying out other acts of ownership, that person would have established what the law recognizes as possessory title, and they would be able to apply for a title in their own name as an adverse possessor.
there are common mistakes, the attorney says, that people make when building on land they do not own. Those mistakes, he says, can lead to disputes later on.
When you are investing to build on property, it's a significant investment. Therefore, it cannot be casually done. You can't necessarily just establish an oral agreement to say, I'm going to build this and, we'll see where it goes. It is best to seek consultation from a professional, get something in writing. What are your options if the person comes back for their property? How long are you intending to be on the property? What is the limit of the unit that you are to construct on the property?
And in news from the education sector, the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information is reminding school administrators that students must not be denied access to education because of an inability to pay registration or other school-related fees. The ministry acknowledges that many families are facing financial challenges ahead of the new academic year and says the schools should keep registration costs to a minimum to ensure financial barriers do not prevent students from enrolling. The ministry says children must not be denied access to education, should be given registration forms at minimal costs, and allowed to pay for incidental fees at a later date. It also stresses that participation in school-led summer programs is not mandatory and must not be made a condition for registration at high school. The ministry says once a student has been placed in a high school through the primary exit profile, PEP, or the transfer process, parents should not be made to feel they must enroll their children in summer school. While encouraging parents to take advantage of summer programs where possible, the ministry recognizes that not all families can afford the associated costs. It also encourages schools to clearly communicate the policy to parents and explore ways of assisting families facing financial hardship, including payment plans, fee waivers, collaboration with alumni, or other forms of support. The ministry reminds the school administrators that they are agents of the government's public education system and are expected to follow ministry policies and the laws of Jamaica. It adds any school policy that conflicts with ministry guidelines or the law, including the Child Care and Protection Act, is not valid. And finally tonight, a graduation fit for Jamaica's top student. Take a look. Police outriders, sirens, and a red carpet greet Jasanya Beadle, the nation's top performer in this year's primary exit profile examinations PEP.
To my fellow graduates, congratulations! We made it. We turned challenges into achievements and memories into milestones. Let us continue to believe in ourselves, work hard, remain respectful, and never stop striving for greatness.
The special escort was organized by Superintendent Coleridge Minto in recognition of Chesania's outstanding achievement.
So I'd like to present to our exceptional student what we call the Divisional Commander's Award of $100,000 that will go towards your education.
A well-deserved celebration for these outstanding students whose hard work continues to inspire the nation. Congratulations to all the students who sat this year's PEP exams. Keep working hard and never stop believing in yourselves. We're rooting for you. And that's the news on Jamaica News Page tonight. News that keeps you connected to what's happening across Jamaica, and we're powered by viewers just like you. Please leave a comment so we can welcome you with a shout out. Thank you for joining us, Debbie Scott, and also thank you for watching Jamaica News Page tonight. We'll see you in the comments, and be sure to like, share, and join us again for more news. From all of us here, good night.